it on my hip.
KB, ADHD man. Today I'm sitting down with a very talented, incomparable man of many things, Mr. JMT. How are you today, sir?
Doing wonderful. How are you?
That's great. I'm feeling pretty good. You know, it's cold. I wish I had a tissue, but yeah, you know, you can't complain too much. What's the deal with this mask? I know you just said it a few minutes ago. You always have it in all your interviews. What's the deal with that?
The mask is a huge part of kind of the music identity with the stuff. You know, I always say whenever I'm wearing the mask, you're showing up to the show so you can take yours off. I don't want people to come in and be the cool guy. I don't want you to be the person sitting on the wall. I don't want you to be I don't want you to be cool at my show.
Be cringe.
Be the weirdo that you know you are. And if me being the ultimate weirdo by wearing this mask that doesn't fit the music, it looks like it, bro. You can't breathe in this shit. It's not comfortable to wear. It looks scary as hell, but it's great music, and you see me going ape shit, and you're like, okay, I can go ape shit too.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
Something to loosen up the people, right?
Yeah, I mean it's different when I'm performing in just a hat. A lot of people get the cool guy look, and they're like, oh, let's take pictures, let's do all this. But when I'm wearing the mask, it's almost polar opposite. No one but people that really want to see what's behind the mask talk to you. People kind of look at you and they're like, fuck, just keep going. And so that's what the mask is for people to take theirs off.
Okay. How did you get the idea to first do it? Like, when did you first do it? Did somebody tell you you should low key spice up the act a little bit, or?
Man, it wasn't even anyone that told me it. I had made this mask during the pandemic. I was
this same one, or was it just
this same
brand?
one?
Okay,
this is the original mask.
So it's 3 years old at this point.
Yeah, I made it in the pandemic in a garage. I was going through this phase where I was getting ready to go to the next level with music, because I've been doing music on the internet since I was 15. I'm 21 now. So I was in the 7th grade, and it's singy, it's rappy, it's all the same shit that you can Google.
Right.
And I was I had deleted social media. I hadn't talked to anyone. When I tell you, you can ask close friends, people thought I was dead.
Oh, wow.
I didn't talk to anyone for 6 months straight. And I just walked into my garage one day, and I was I want to make what JMT should look like if I were to just kill the entire identity. I was if I just stopped making music, what would JMT look like? If I had to make one stagnant look, what would it look like?
And the mask is what you came up with.
I instantly got in my car. I spent $10 on this mask. I had power tools and I had paint, and I was I'm going to quote unquote kill JMT. And then the next thing you know, 3 years later, I ended up looking at it and I was I didn't kill it, it came back to life. So now I have to wear this because it doesn't make any sense not to.
Like Michael Myers type of thing.
Hell yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Okay, I rock with that. So you said you were making music since you were 15, 7th grade, early high school days. What type of music was that, if you had to describe it with words?
Wishy-washy, bullshit, trying to be cool, trying to appeal to the ear, trying to appeal to the people. I mean, I can't say that I was trying to appeal to the people all the way. And the type of beats that I were picking were definitely left field, because a lot of people at that time, or the mid 2010s, it's Cardi wasn't popular yet, so I was looking for a lot of his stuff. Tyler wasn't popular yet.
Right.
So I was looking for a lot of his stuff, a lot of Childish Gambino, a lot of Gorillaz, a lot of very left field.
Very underground still.
Yeah. I've always been like that. The thing that got me into songwriting was metal music, Slipknot and
really
Korn and fucking the heavier, darker shit is what got me into songwriting. And then so happenly I started looking at hip hop and rap artists that were different, because you grow up listening to Lil Wayne and shit like that, but I didn't want to rap like them. I wanted to be descriptive with my words, like metal music, but I wanted to sound pretty like what fucking Childish Gambino was doing.
Right.
It's very early stuff. But, you know.
Some good music right
Yeah. But what's in the middle? Tyler.
Right.
So.
Something like that. Yeah. So you're listening to metal music. Did you just kind of sought that type of music out? How do you get to listening to metal music, especially like growing up in like the Metro Detroit area? Like it's very obviously like trap type of music, real hip hoppy. How does one get into metal music becoming your inspiration? That's very interesting to me.
It was one of the things where it found me.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a lot of time because, you know, I mean, like, I look fine now, but I was a scrawny piece of shit when I was a kid.
Right.
So, of course, like, a big majority of my early childhood was a lot of being the outcast. So, for girls, it was like black girls did not like me because I was not a typical black dude. White girls didn't like me because, you know, you're too dark. And then it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll have homies. And then, like, niggas are like, yeah, you don't play football or basketball, and you don't want to rap. And then, of course, you know, you try and appeal to the white kids, and it's like, still too much. Still too much, yeah. So a lot of my early adolescence was literally me just sitting around being like, okay, what do I find cool? What do I find interesting? And then I'll make friends that way. So I would just be on YouTube, like looking at for a long time I got into stop motion and like started creating like stop motion and sets and shit. It's such a tedious task, but I got into it, and a lot of the music that people were putting in these early YouTube videos in the early 2000s was like these third-party fucking metal songs or rock songs or like very old songs, like, you know, like Metallica was an easy one that like people wouldn't get copyright stricken for.
Right.
So you just start slowly diving down the hole, and like I won't forget, but like for 3 months straight, YouTube kept recommending People Equal Shit by Slipknot to me, and I was like, I don't want to click it because it looks scary. I don't want to click
it's
it.
The music
like
video.
7. Yeah, no, it's them live in London.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't want to click it. It looks scary. And then one day, just being extra lonely, extra sad, I was like, what the fuck is this? And I clicked it, and instantly at that moment, I had something to identify with, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to write how I feel. I want to talk about it, because, you know, you don't really have an outlet to talk about it. And then so happening, metal music got me into songwriting. Next thing you know, I start realizing I can sing. Next thing you know, I start realizing that I could really rap, because I knew I could, but I didn't know how good I was. And then, 10 years later, we're here.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting, because I feel like, obviously, everybody starts at like a different point of like whatever their music journey is, or whoever or whatever influences them to like start listening to music or pursuing music like more intentionally. And the fact that yours is like metal music, and you didn't really have anybody or like necessarily friends or maybe a family member like telling you like you should do this, because I feel like that's usually what most people say, like, oh, my friends would do X, Y, and Z, and we're listening to this or on YouTube. It's always somewhat similar, but I feel like that's very unique. I kind of like that. So like, you go from listening and starting to write that type of music to what? Like, what's the graph look like to get to this point, or from that point? What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, if you want to start with like where it really starts from, I have 2 cousins that introduced me to everything. Like when I tell you, they're the reason that I stole the 2004 Nerd Fly or Die album. I stole it from them because I was like 4. I was like, can I just listen to this when I'm going to school? And they were like, yeah, sure, fine, here, take it. I hid it in my old house. I'm the only person in my entire family that knows where that fucking CD is.
It's still there?
Yeah, I have it in a certain folder and everything. I placed it there.
Okay.
That and a Star Wars movie. The second one, I stole that and put it in there too. So it's kind of the archive.
Time capsule type vibes.
Yeah. But they introduced me to like a little bit of the pop hard rock stuff that was happening in the UK. They also, my dad's been a DJ for his entire life. So, you know, he was a Chicago house and juke DJ when the music was just coming out.
Real G.
Yeah, so I had his influence, and then my mom was huge on neo soul because she knew neo soul producers for people like Kem and shit.
Oh wow.
So all of my music influences were never what was playing on the radio. It was always the shit that you had to go to a Radio Shack or a Best Buy or a Target or a Walmart and like know that you're picking up that CD. So it started there, and then fell into the metal hole, like, you know,
got back into it,
like how anybody should,
right?
And then it went from metal music to I really wanted to get into like heavy shit, but I wanted to rap. So my cousins, the same cousins, they were like, man, shout out to Aaron and Quan. Motherfuckers are the reason that this shit even exists.
Real.
They same cousins. They were I was showing them Slipknot, and they were like, yeah, this is heavy. And they were like, we heard of this new nigga, and I was like, the fuck are you talking about? And then they turned on the Yonkers video, and that at the time that video had like 15,000 views. So we were listening to Tyler for a while.
Man.
And so then I was like, okay, so you can do darker, heavier stuff.
Won't be well received sometimes.
It won't be well received, but I was like, it has a place.
Look at how we're looking back on that Yonkers video now.
It's wild. And then, but I always loved dancier music, but I knew there was no space for black kids to listen to that. So I just kept it as a pretty little secret, like dubstep, drum and bass, like all of that. The whole genre of dance music, I just kept it to myself, didn't talk to anybody about it. So then, of course, with the Tyler stuff, you get into the Pharrell, because I already knew about it, but now I'm tying ties back to my childhood with Pharrell and Tyler. And then so you keep going up, and then you get into the melodic stuff, the more trap rap stuff. So then I got into that wave late. And so I'm like, okay, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. And then I started going to like shows and concerts and shit. And
who was your first concert you went to?
It was Tyler.
Oh, really?
My first show was seeing him on his Cherry Bomb tour at the Fillmore.
The Cherry Bomb always gets swept under the rug, I feel like.
It's underrated because it sounds like shit. It's bad, but it's really good. It's him kind of breaking out of the cocoon to do the stuff that he does now. But, you know, you're doing that for a while, and you're going to rap shows, and then, you know, I went to a Cardi show, and I like the energy of that, but I like the vision of like later shows of like a Kendrick Lamar and things like that I saw. And then I ended up, and this is the true story of how I really got back into house and ghetto tech.
Right.
I had met Squid in middle school. I was like, like very early high school. I was like 15. This is before Squid started DJing. But I knew Meech. I knew Meech on Mars because Kenny Knox went to my high school.
What high school did you go to?
I went to West Bloomfield.
Really?
Yeah, so Kenny Knox went to West Bloomfield, and he graduated as a senior when I was coming in as a freshman.
Okay, damn.
So I connected with Kenny, which connected me to Dope Island, which connected me to Meech, which when Meech did his first roller skate thing, the DJ for that night was DJ Killer Squid.
I was there. I think I went to that.
Man, I met her and Sam, and there's a picture in my phone with me, Sam Austin, Meech, Dope Island, and Kenny, and we're all just like fucking kicking it.
Real.
And years later pass, and I see that Squid is on this thing called Boiler Room. Like, I knew about Boiler Rooms, and I knew about K-Tronada and shit, because I was a nerd for the dancier shit.
Right.
I was like, tickets only $15, fuck it, let me go.
Let me pull up.
Yeah, because Squid knows me, I hit her up. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be there. She's like, yo, nigga, I haven't seen you in years. Yeah, pull up. In the mosh pit during her set, and these two tall motherfuckers is in the front, and they just keep shoving me. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm moshing because I'm having fun.
Right.
Like, what the fuck are these people, bro? And then one of them taps the other one and goes, it's time. And he just does that, and they dip. Whoa. They like disappear.
Oh, whoa.
I'm like, where the fuck did they go?
That's what, some vampires.
Yeah, so I'm there, and Squid sets wrap up, I dap her up, and I leave, and we were like, okay, let's go to the other section. Fucking in this big red room, and it's, at the time I thought it was a girl, but it's a nigga in a hood with devil horns, and he's looking down at this tiny ass mixer. It's all this DJ equipment to the side, but he's on this tiny ass mixer on his laptop. And I can't see his face. But he's playing the craziest shit. And then I knew about this song called Henny and Runts because of SoundCloud. I had heard it a while ago, but I didn't know who fucking made it. Lo and fucking behold, I was moshing with Milo and Melly, and then they do Shrimp and Grits. I'm the only motherfucker that knows the words.
Right.
And then, so happenly while I was there, my videographer, who I did my first 2 music videos with, for my first album, was there. And he was like, yo, I've been recording for these motherfuckers in Atlanta when I'm down in Atlanta because I'm about to move down there. He was like, bro, come with me. So after that, I didn't know, but that was Chop that was DJing.
Oh.
And fucking, I leave. My videographer's like, come here real quick. And so when I tell you, I like met Full Body, Santana, Chop, Melly, and Milo all that night. And I was like, cool, I'll hit y'all up if I ever got some music shit that I'm doing. And I wanted to do dancier shit and like more poppier shit because I love, you know, Justin Timberlake's first album. I was trying to figure it out. And I was like on live and I started DJing a little bit. And then I got hit up by Milo. He was like, yo,
you gotta make
come to my studio this day, do this thing. An hour passes, and he's actually doing the last track on the Day Trois album. And then I'm sitting there watching him make it. I was like, okay, cool. And then, an hour passes, and then Shrimp and Grits is done.
It's a banger.
And then after that, fucking I think nothing of it. They hit me up a couple months later. They're like, yo, that's going to be the lead single for the second album. Don't tell anyone, but we're going to drop it soon. It's just cool. They dropped that, and I'm seeing it just do numbers. It's going crazy. And then, 2 months later or so, I start producing because I'm seeing how Milo does it. Milo works in Ableton, so I'm starting to produce my own ghetto tech tracks now. I was always a fan of the genre. I just didn't know a name for it.
Right.
And that's happening. That's going on. And then I get a call or a text from Omar S. And then he hits me up and he's like, yo, we want to do a project. And so the project that I'm getting ready to release, which is Ghetto Tech Reject, is literally a accumulation of me hearing some shit that my cousins played to the metal. So the heaviness of the metal stuff is influenced in there.
I'm excited about
Ghetto Tech, all of that.
I'm excited about it. This will be your third?
This would be my third album, but it'd really be like my first album.
First album. So the other 2 are more like mixtapes, if you will.
Yeah, just because they were produced by other people.
Right.
Even though they were produced like, Blue Summer is produced by Ben Moodley, good friend in the UK. So that mixtape's technically international. The other 2 albums, like one's a throwaway of just tracks that I couldn't release.
Right.
And then the first one is just me trying shit out because I didn't know what I was doing in Ableton.
So this is like the first one that's like you know the sound direction. It's got some pretty good backing. You know how you want it to sound going in. And it's all right.
And it's all self-produced. It's all self-written. Like from the top down, it's kind of like my first. It's like my Igor.
Okay.
It's the first time that I can put everything is done by me.
All right. Yeah. That's lit. I love hearing come up stories. I wouldn't even say that's a come up story. That's really just natural progress.
It's
really
natural progress.
That's just you. Just keep doing what you like, doing what you love, and then the fruits of your labor come to fruition. It's amazing. Yeah. So the first 2 albums, I know you said one of them was a throwaway, but the first album, well, what type of music was on that album for somebody who hasn't heard it?
That first album is me talking about everything that got me to that very point. So every single song on that album has a number at the end of it. And each one of those numbers are tied to a year, which is tied to a person that song is about. So Summer 17 is about an ex. Cool Like That 98, I think that's the number. That's a song dedicated to one of the 2 cousins.
Right, real.
Golden '01, that's my birth year. So that song's literally just me talking to myself. And kind of in like a flirtatious way to a woman type shit. Right. It's just the song that represents how I was feeling at that time.
Right.
Yeah, so that whole album from top to bottom is just about people in my past and me until that very moment. And like the sonics are everywhere. There's straight up like boom bappy rap songs that could sound like Smino would be on it, to like K-Tronada sounding stuff, which is kind of what Run That and Golden sounds like. And then you have like super R&B ballads on that album too.
So some variety, got some variety on there. Okay, so definitely can appeal to the masses.
Yeah.
So you go by obviously JMT. Those are your initials, right?
I mean, if that's what you want to believe.
Well, how did you decide to? Where does it come from? How did you decide to give yourself that moniker, JMT?
It's another funny story. Originally it wasn't JMT. Originally,
first rap name.
It was Killer Dragon J. It sucks. It sucks.
Killer Dragon J.
Yeah, and I made before Instagram had polls, you had to make physical posts and ask people. And I posted a post, and it's on my old Instagram. If someone finds it, feel free to
scrub the internet for that shit.
You'll laugh. I used to post stupid shit. And I made a post. I was like, should I keep going by Killer Dragon J or JMT? And like literally every single person was like, the JMT shit is dumb.
What?
Why would you go with JMT? That's bad. That's a bad name.
Oh wow.
And so time passes, and I make a new Instagram, and I'm like, I don't know what to call it. So I started calling it a bunch of stuff, like from inspirations from everywhere. And then one day I just landed on like asking the question. I was like, who am I? And I was like, who's JMT? And I was like, oh, that kind of has a ring. And I just made all my social media that. And then I realized that it was really good marketing, because if you ask who's JMT and you look that up, it directs you to me. So it's like you answer the question by looking it up.
Two birds, one
stone. And I was like, okay, that's dope. And then I was like, okay, so what does JMT mean? And, you can take it as my initials. You can take it as whatever the fuck you want, really. Because you're asking the question every time when you see it.
Who's JMT?
Who's JMT?
Right.
What's JMT?
Who is he?
Some people it's the mask. Some people it's my face. Some people it's the 4-year-old that they met. Some people it's just the music they hear. But, sometimes when people ask and I'm in a wild setting, I'll just fuck with them. I'll give them a completely different answer. It's something that I love to do to keep the mystery.
Right.
I'll put on the mask and they'll be like, what does GMT stand for? And I'm like, jellyfish might tickle. And I just walk off and they're like, what the fuck?
Okay,
yeah, but then they see the performance, they're like, that GMT motherfucker was cool. Yeah. So that's really what it is. It's the mystery behind the title, the mask, all of it. It's supposed to point towards you to where you answer the question. Because, if I answer who JMT is, like, that's great. But if you have an answer for it, then you have a tie to it. Now it's a personal relationship. It's no longer just a name.
I like that answer. That was very thought provoking. I like it. So obviously, I've seen your performance. Have you seen one of his performances before?
Have I seen one of his performances, bro? You gonna ask me if I seen this nigga performance, bro? Like I ain't put money in this man's hand. He DJ at our shit.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. I'm Joff. Look. Hey.
Time passes.
The shit I'll be forgetting, but that's not the point. But for somebody who hasn't seen your performance, you're very energetic. You're very obviously into the performance, which is the sign of a good performer. Obviously, you get the crowd engaged. But how do you feel like you have to flip a switch in order to get like that, or is it just something that comes natural to you? That's just I just get on the stage and I just have fun.
So I like to tell people, because it's the truth. Like I was naturally always a gifted performer, but I've always been like, fuck, I'm so nervous. Yeah. Like I don't know why, but every great performer that I know hates the idea of getting up there until they get up there.
Yeah.
And so I do this thing where I like crouch down. It's almost animalistic. Like no one ever sees me do it. I make sure that no one's looking.
Oh wow.
But I crouch down and I just like look at the floor for like 5 minutes. I don't talk to anyone. I don't look up. I don't care what's happening around me. And I just go to a place and I literally like black out.
Wow.
And then I go on stage, and then the next thing you know, an hour passes, 30 minutes passes, however long the set time is, and I step off and I'm like, great.
That's it. It's done.
What did I play?
He said, I go to a different place when I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can respect. So that's like that's the ritual before pretty much every.
That's the ritual.
That's where like even if you just do like a DJ set, do you always like do like a song that you made with your DJ sets, or do you just is it just either or, like whatever whoever brought you on, is it for a song or like a DJ set? Do you do that before either or?
It depends. Most of the time, I try and throw my shit in there. I never tell people unless it's like President that song is coming out.
Right.
Like there are songs that I've played for the past year now that you don't know, but they're on the album. So I've just been programming people for a year now to like certain songs. If you go to all of my sets or if you go to any of them, you're like, oh, this song's dope. And now you'll have it in a year.
Like I heard this before.
Literally just building fans. And so what I did with that, is I try and incorporate it in all my sets. And like I'm just very blessed to have great friends that are like, send me your shit.
Yeah.
And like, DJ Kairos, which is a very close DJ of mine, a very close friend, because we're in the same camp under the same management. Like, we were at Leland City Club, and I had no idea what my album sounded like on big, boomy speakers, because I was like, I know what it sounds like when I mixed it.
Right.
He plays it, and people are going ape shit, and I'm like,
it's got
alright, it's time. It's time. Yeah, that was literally my signal. I was like, it's time. Nice. Yeah, I've been sitting on it. I've been programming. I've been directing people towards it. It's time to release it. So that's literally how I do it. It's instinct.
Okay. Okay, so you obviously you've been making music. The DJ aspect. When did you start getting into actually DJing and doing that part of the music instead of just writing raps and writing songs like that? When did you say like low key like spinning and mixing, like that's my shit?
Man, I was always, I mean, like from the stories that I've told, you know that I've had like
right. You said your dad was
weird
DJ and stuff.
Music tastes.
Yep.
Yeah, my dad, like, dude, he has this basement at my grandma's house, and it's literally like the entire room that we're in right now would be stacked to the ceiling with just vinyls.
Wow.
Of like house and juke and ghetto tech and techno records.
Yeah,
and like B-sides of Prince shit that never came out. Like there's a track that I have that I've lost because the internet just can't keep up with it.
Wow.
Like he has shit that's not, you can't Google it.
So what's the name so we can get the people?
Man, it's a track by some guy. It's like RB96 Zombie. That shit up.
That sounds so random.
Man, and it's one of the craziest tracks that I've ever heard. And he played it for me, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, DJing is cool. And then, of course, Slipknot has a DJ.
Of course.
DJ Starscream, which is one of my favorite DJs. So he'll, like, drop a jungle beat over, like, somebody playing the guitar on this, like, screechy, heavy-ass melody. And I'm like, this is crazy. So I always liked the idea of DJing. And then, of course, going to Boiler Room, seeing Chop do his shit. I was like, I should just buy a board. I was like, I should just buy a cheap board and just get into the scratching and get into everything that I already like and I already have history with and just see where it takes me.
Right.
So I spent a year. Like, people don't know it, but I've been DJing for like 3 years. This is my first year publicly doing it. Like, that's always how I've treated my art, is just I sit down and I perfect it and I craft it to where when it releases, you can't ignore it. You're like, fuck, this is good. So for like 1 to 2 years, that's all I did was just DJ, like in the basement. And like
just practicing.
Man, there's live streams where I would tag fucking Chop. And I'd be like, put in the fucking heavy work song in the mix.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, that's crazy. So that's all it was just being in the face of the right people at the right time and just trying stuff. Like my entire career is me just trying stuff and people being like, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you say you're a perfectionist?
I wouldn't say that I'm a perfectionist. I feel like I'm an idealist. I have an idea, and once it gets as close to what I wanted in the idea, I go, okay.
Now I can execute.
Yeah.
Okay.
I go, okay. Let's see how people read it. And I don't do it for people.
Right.
I always do the art for me. But I go, okay, let's see how people read it. Let's see if I'm the crazy one in the room. If so, that's fine.
So if nobody ever took to the DJ sets and they only took to like the music you made, you would still be DJing basically in that basement?
Hell yeah. I put this mask on and fucking still DJ. I'd never show my face, but I'd still DJ. The reason why I take the mask off when I do my originals is because one, you can't rap in this.
Right.
You can't sing in this.
Right.
But then also people have seen my face when I do those songs. So like when it's just a DJ set and I'm not playing any of my shit, this stays on the entire set.
Right.
Like I don't take it off because I want you to just listen to the music. So yeah.
Okay, I respect that. So just to get not crazy personal, but what do you think is something about yourself, about JMT that you feel like you don't really get to, let's say, share with like maybe your music? Something that people don't really know about you that maybe you'd like them to know about you.
Yeah, dude. I've been like a full blown optimist ever since I didn't die.
That you didn't die.
Yeah. So for the longest, when I was getting into the metal music and things like that, like, you're just in a fucked up spot. You're in a fucked up spot mentally. Yeah. And for the longest time, man, I wasn't the cool kid, but clearly I had the performance thing, the charisma. So people attract to you naturally. Right. And like, no one knew, but I'm just in this fucked up spot for literally like half of my life at that point. And so, after so many suicide attempts, there was one where I blacked out on the floor and I was bleeding. I was slitting my wrist and I blacked out on the floor. I was bleeding, and like the floor is cold. I'm in a basement. It's like freezing. It's like January too, so it's brick as shit.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like
right on the concrete floor.
Yeah, man. I'm like, if I die right here, this was it. And I woke up, and after that day, bro, that was the day where I was like...
Everything changed.
Man, I literally said out loud, I was like, I didn't die, so clearly I'm supposed to be here doing something.
Right.
And from that day on, I was like, whatever that something is, I'll figure it the fuck out. I didn't care to figure it out, but that day was the day where I was like, there's gotta be some hope.
It's like it's not working.
Light. Yeah.
Something's got to give at this point.
Man, literally, because from slitting wrists to trying to burn yourself to trying to hang I had my neighbors catch me trying to hang myself. Like, from pills to trying to find firearms to like, it's just the darkest shit. And that's where the music was. That was my escapism. Was the music. So when I didn't have the music, it was just dark.
Right.
But that's half of the time, because that's before smartphones. That's before you had AirPods, so you could hide your headphones. So you can't block shit out. So you either go home and you sit in the dark and listen to music for some hours, or you're just angry all day. And so after that, I was like, all right, let me figure this shit out. And that was the day where I was like, maybe I should start pursuing this music thing, not because I want to be famous or not because I want to be rich, but because this is literally the only thing that I have to keep my fucking sanity.
Right.
Because I was in a horrible abusive relationship with a girl that was, mentally and emotionally abusive at the time, and that's when the final suicide attempt happened. Not a ton of friends at that point. Had a big friend group, but it's like,
nobody really there for you like that.
Yeah, you can't tell them that you're feeling depressed. No one fucking you don't have the emotional capacity at that time. You're a kid, And so, and I was also like a realist when I was a kid. Watched my mom graduate from college when I graduated from kindergarten. Watched her hop from job to job, even though she had 2 degrees. So I knew that school wasn't going to work out.
Wow.
And so, like, I was literally thrown into the reality of what you get exposed to when you're like 25, when I was like 7.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, we're all gonna die. Do degrees don't help. Jobs don't pay all your fucking bills. The economy's horrible.
Yeah,
you don't understand it, but all that shit topples down on once, and then you're getting bullied at school.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
just the icing on the cake.
Yeah, that's the icing on the cake. Like, I was already sad because I can't get McDonald's, and I'm seeing my mom cry because, dad's not around, and family stress because money's short, and it's like, what the fuck do we do? And then I get punched in the face by some white kid named David. Literally. Like, I'm like, fuck, really?
I go to school, I leave my one shitty situation, and go to another
watch
one.
other people struggle, and I was an emotionally aware kid, so like I wasn't, most kids when their parents are struggling through some shit, you kind of block it out. Right. But I was emotionally aware because I was into music, and music makes you super in tune with yourself. So I know what it looks like to cry at 11 when you're like, I just don't know how I'm gonna make shit work out. And you're an adult, like that's some troubling shit, And so that all of that accumulated to that attempt, and then after I survived that attempt, I was like, music's the thing that's kept not only me sane, but my family sane, because my mom was an artist, my dad was an artist, all of that. So I was like, you know what, maybe this music shit is for me.
Well,
and ever since that day, fucking,
we're here.
Here you are.
Firstly, I want to say, brother, I'm glad you're still here with us, because you're blessing us with not just your presence, but your overwhelming, outstanding musical ability, which is great. So first of all, that's first things first. Yeah. And so you're an only child.
Only child, man.
Okay,
well,
definitely.
So kinda.
Didn't grow up with siblings.
I didn't grow up with siblings. All I had was the cousins, but I didn't know. But my dad had 2 other kids. So my dad had a brother. Well, my dad made me a brother.
Right.
That was 10 years older than me. So I met him because my grandfather had passed on our dad's side. And he was like, hey, you haven't met me ever in your life, but I'm your brother. Like, I'm your biological brother, which was a huge shock because you lose one family member to gain another. Yeah, and so we were in contact, and then he had passed when I was in middle school, around the same time of the attempt. Yeah, and he had passed when I was in middle school due to a car accident.
Damn.
Yeah, so then I was like the only sibling that I had, because you grow up an only child, fucking dies, and I'm like,
come in,
bullshit, and then not too long ago, I was sitting in my home, and I was just going through fucking social media, and my dad, like, he's cool enough to know how to use Instagram, and so his story, he had post like, it's not my fucking birthday, my birthday's in December, he was like, happy birthday to my sweetest daughter, and I was like, I have a fucking sister?
Another sibling?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
But she's younger than me. And so she, shout out to her. And I was like, what the fuck? And so at that point, I was like, I know I'm not an only child, but I grew up an only child. So I'm like, I don't know how many of these are running around. But one day, they'll see me on a magazine cover or something, and they'll be like, let me text this motherfucker real quick. So,
let me get a little
band real quick.
We are family. No, definitely. That's it, man. That's definitely.
It's wild.
Yeah, that's a journey, brother. That's certainly some shit. You made it out the other side, doing great for yourself. So that's definitely gotta feel good. On another note, obviously you're a man of many talents. Do you act at all?
I do.
I saw you in a commercial.
Yes, I act. My first art form wasn't music.
Really?
It was acting.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where I got into the arts. Was like,
theatrics.
Yeah, I don't watch movies a ton, but I'm a stickler for them. Like, you put on a bad movie, I will tell you why it's bad. I'm like, cinematography's off. They're using the wrong camera. That's the wrong lens. They should have panned it this way. The color grading's off. Like, I'll fucking rip into it.
You ever do theater?
What?
You ever do theater, like plays and stuff?
Oh, dude, yeah. Yeah. Like, that's where I made the connection of like, oh, I do have a stage presence. Okay. Yeah, like, but to follow through, I acted when I started that when I was 4, and then I got rid of it because I started getting into music around like 8, 9, and 10, and then I didn't want to ever act again.
Oh wow!
And then until I was in choir class in 9th grade or 10th grade, and they were like, "Hey, we have this play that we're doing, and you're good at singing, so maybe you're good at acting." And I was like,
little do you know,
I'm gonna suck because I haven't done it since I was 7. But okay. And then I was auditioning for a part that I didn't know. I didn't know the character. I didn't know the motherfucker was black. I didn't know the character I was auditioning for was black.
Oh wow, they set you up basically.
Bro, no, I didn't know shit. They set me up.
They set him up.
They set me up, and then I had realized I really have a knack for, theatrics and being on stage and building a universe and building a world to have people dive into.
Real.
And then once that was done with school, I was like, all right, how do I build theatrics and build a story into my music? Yeah, like, how do I do that with an album? Okay, I know how to do that. How do I do that on a stage? So yeah. And then fucking at work one day, and some people hit me up and they're like, "Yo, come down to studio such and such real quick. We want to see you audition for this thing." And next thing I know, they go, "Yeah, we're gonna need you for like 2 days." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I got the part, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't know if we're gonna use it or where we're gonna use it just yet, but this is our goal."
Okay.
And I was like, "Okay, so what's the goal?" They were like, "We want to send this to the Pistons." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And then they were like, "And depending on how well it goes, we want to do another one for the Lions." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And so I do it, and then they were like, "Yeah, it's all done." And then, like, a month later, they were like, "You want to come and see it?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." I'm looking at the final review, and then it was the craziest sentence that I've ever heard someone just say to me, like, casually about acting or like something that I've done. They were like, "Yeah, man, we just sent it to Peacock," and I was like, "Peacock has a file."
The commercial is really good.
Bro, the commercial's so good.
The commercial's
Peacock
great.
has a file with my stupid face, and they're like, "I'm gonna run this 5 times during this program," and I'm like, "Holy shit!"
It's a good commercial.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm watching the Pistons, and I'm watching on like streaming. It's the fucking third party. You don't have to pay for the streaming shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at first I hear your voice. I'm like, well, because I'm on my phone. I'm like, I hear something like, is that? I look down. I'm like, whoa. It was funny. I'm watching it. It's a commercial, so I'm like, obviously I don't watch commercials.
Right.
So it's the end of the commercial, and I'm like, is that who I think it is? Look down, and I'm like, bro. That's fucking, I know that guy. And I'm like, dude. And I watch the Pistons like religiously. So like I keep seeing the commercial. I'm like, bro, this dude has you obviously you work for the UW, their Pistons sponsor and shit. So I'm like, bro, I cannot believe I just saw this guy in the commercial. And the commercial is like, it's really
so
good.
well done.
It's really good.
That's the reason why it was okay.
It's a really good commercial.
Pursuing it full on because they showed me the vision. And like, I'm one of those guys with art where I'm like, if it's a bad idea, I'll say it. I'll help you through it, but don't put my face, don't put my name towards that shit if it's a bad idea.
Right.
Because I know if it fucks up, it's a conjoined thing.
Hey.
But I saw the vision, and I was like, this could be really dope if I do it better than the guy that they like visioned. And fucking we knocked it out of the park, and I was like, hell yeah. So now people randomly text me at 10 on the weekends.
They're
just like, bro, some fucking beat up. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So you've gotten this message before. This is the first time I'm hearing it.
It's been 2 weeks of people being like,
bro, I just saw
they'll like record it so I can believe it. They'll be like, it's you! It's fucking you! And I'm like, yes, man, it's me. Yeah.
That's it. That's hype though, bro. I also was like somebody who I did theater and shit. Like I felt like I had acting jobs. I low-key still want to do some acting shit. So I'm gonna try.
Acting is fun.
It's very fun. I like flipping that switch, getting into the character. Shit's really fun. The stage presence and all of it. So wait, do you remember the name of the musical or the play that you did in 9th grade, the first one?
It was called the play was called Our Town, and then I didn't do the 10th grade play because at that point I was like, I'm fucking like this. Let me just keep singing. Right. And then the thing that they set me up for, bro, fucking Hairspray. Yeah, they set me up, and I was like, all right. And then I did it. I'll never forget it. But this is when I realized I have stage presence. There's this scene where he crawls through the window of the girl that he's talking to. He crawls through the window and he straddles her. And like, it's very funny because the girl that I was doing this with,
she's like the audience and shit.
Bro, I mean, like, she's gay. She doesn't fucking care.
Right.
And so, you know, we're just like kicking it on some homie shit, and they're like, all right,
it's time for that
make it passionate. And I was like, I don't know how you can make this passionate on a high school stage.
Yeah.
Maturely.
Right.
In a safe way. And so I would rip my, like, not my shirt, but I had like this vest thing, and I just rip it open.
Oh wow.
And so at like a certain line that I say, and I would rip it open. And this one night, man, not she, but like a crowd of women that's far in the back. It's dark. I can't see.
Right.
I don't know. I can hear people. I can't see anyone. I just hear a crowd of women just go like, ow! That was the moment where I was like, fuck, okay. I'm gonna start getting on stage more. Fuck this.
Yeah. It's got some perks.
Yeah,
it's got some perks.
It's got some perks. It's cool being on stage. Not even for the ladies, just fucking getting reactions out of people. That's the dope part for me. That was the first time that I got a big reaction off of something that I didn't think was like smart or cool. And I was like, oh, so I can be myself and kind of push boundaries. And yeah, all right.
Hell yeah. That's just lit. I never... People have like a lot of stuff they do like outside music that obviously ties to their music, but like I feel like this is the first time I've heard somebody say like they do acting and like they did theaters. That's pretty cool, especially since obviously I can relate to that.
Yeah.
But as far as the music, you know, obviously you've come a long way. You've definitely built yourself up. You've built your sound up. What's kind of the, obviously you got the album coming out soon. What's kind of the next step with that and kind of moving forward?
So Ghetto Tech Reject is the start of something big, and that's like the cleanest, easiest, quickest way I can say that is it's the start of something big. Yeah, in the sense of it's building the community that I always needed. And so the album is going to drop in January, and I'm going to be in communication and working with some people to where Ghetto Tech Reject is almost like a group of people. You know, it's like, hey, these are the Ghetto Tech Rejects. And then from there, we keep evolving the sound with, you know, of course with the Ghetto Tech music, but, you know, incorporating the melodic stuff that I like, incorporating the heaviness. This is like...
Really making your own way.
Yeah, it's this album coming is really just a nice introduction to it. It's like cleansing the palate. Like there's a track on there called New Godzilla Flow. It's me going and giving an ode to Detroit's Godzilla. I'm not trying to wipe it out.
Right.
Because I love that song. That song literally for the past 30, 40 years has played on every single radio station at night.
Classic.
It's a classic. But I was like, I'm going to make a new Godzilla for the new Detroiters, for the new generation, so they have something to relate to. Because, like, there's no clean fucking version of Godzilla that sounds good, that's boomy and bassy, like how when it first dropped. So I was like, let's give it this boom, this bass, let's make it angry, let's make it big and triumphant. And that's literally the introduction to the album. It's literally Godzilla. And then from that song down, all 13 tracks, like it's just building on that. It's the big triumphant, even the slow moments or the prettier moments, like, you know, these violins are playing in the background. Like someone described Ghetto Tech Reject when we were making it. They were like, this sounds like what the new Belle Isle would look like. And I was like, oh nigga, that's such a compliment.
That's
because
so nice.
Yeah, because when you know people's parents and their grandparents talk about like parties at Belle Isle in the summer and all that, and playing tracks like we play at parties, like that's instantly where you go. So when people are saying like, oh, I can see us, you know, you pop the car open, you got this track playing, people are having a good time. I was like, fuck, that's a compliment. So I'm excited to drop it because it gives the prettiness but the grittiness of the whole Metro Detroit and really Michigan scene.
Yeah,
something.
I'm glad you specifically used the words New Detroit because there's other, obviously if you look at Detroit music, it's like two split scenes.
It's
where
day and night.
the Detroit that people outside of Michigan realize it's like, it's the rap, it's the hip hop side of, Babyface, all that stuff. Which
Babyface, right.
that is absolutely through and through Detroit to its core, which it is. But there's another side of the coin, which is the house, it's the ghetto tech, it's the more dancey, poppy vibes, which is very true and specific to Detroit and Detroit, Michigan, because that's the side that people don't know. You only really know about that if you're from Detroit. And you can't really. I like that you phrase it with Detroit because there's obviously old Detroit and there's new Detroit, but there's two new Detroits. One of them is the new ghetto tech and stuff, and the other one is the newer, more urban sounding flow that you hear people rap on the hip hop beats, stuff like that. Which I would credit that side. Won't credit that side, but the first person I heard say that was Lilo. And he definitely, that flow that he's got, some other people got him, who else, like 1UP is kind of on that, on that spectrum. Yeah. That is what I would say if you're going to look at the rap side, that is the new Detroit. But this is the other side of Detroit, which I like you guys that. I love that.
Fucking people don't know, but like techno was made by three niggas in a basement. Kevin Sanderson, Juan Atkins, and fucking the other people always forget about other people like Eddie Folks and shit like that. But like that was made here. Yeah. Probably not too far from where everybody likes to hang out at. So when they hear our music and compliment us, it's dope because it's the new Detroit and they know it and they recognize that and they're like, you guys are doing the right job. We're passing the baton on to you. And it's some real shit to hear that, but it's also crazy because it's like, oh, now we're the founding fathers. The next time, in the next 30 years, when people are like, man, what was techno music like?
It's gonna be this shit.
It was full body and JMT and high tech and all these motherfuckers in the room. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we're here. I don't really have anything left for you. Do you want to say anything about the music? Do you have a release date for the album yet?
Yeah, I do. January 11th.
January 11th.
You will have Ghetto Tech Reject to listen to enjoy, to fucking spaz out to. Yeah. You'll see it everywhere. Not only that, but the music is for you. It lives through me, but it's for you.
Beautiful.
And like I said in the beginning, whenever it's me in a room, whenever it's anything that I'm tied to, this mask is just a symbolization. JMT is just a symbolization to take your mask off.
Absolutely.
So be the truest version of you. Fuck it.
That's a great ending message. Well, that's all I got for you folks. JMT, I appreciate you coming out, chopping it up with your boy. Learned a lot about you. That was great. I'm excited. I'm excited about the album. And hey man, I'm ready to see the growth.
It's gonna be crazy.
I love it. I'm gonna be out at the next show whenever you have it.
Yeah.
When I'll be there at any show. I'll pop out to some of them. If I wish I could pop out to all of them. But
man.
I'll be at least one. That's a guarantee. Yeah. I'll be there. But hey man, appreciate it.
Appreciate being here.
We're done, man. That's a wrap.
No disrespect, but I didn't know you had ass.
Oh my! Don't look at Nick Cannon's
She's a married.
God! I ain't playing. I want you, and I'm gonna have you. We'll talk soon.